This is Casey Fatchett, and you're listening to the Nerdy Photographer Podcast. This episode will be talking about how Instagram growth is pretty much dead. That and more after this short break.
Hey, what's the name of that graphic software we use for all the social media stuff?
Snappa.
The one with hundreds of pre-designed templates for all the different platform sizes that allows you to resize your graphics at the click of a button?
Snappa.
The software that has thousands of icons, graphic elements, fonts, and stock images to add to your graphics?
Snappa.
The free software!
Snappa, Snappa, Snappa.
Oh, okay. I think it's called Snappa, isn't it? Try Snappa for free at nerdyphotographer.com/Snappa. That's nerdyphotographer.com/SNAPPA.
Hello, on this episode of the Nerdy Photographer Podcast, we're discussing Instagram growth, organic Instagram growth. Is it dead? You might be asking, what's organic Instagram growth? Well, organically growing your following on Instagram without using advertising. Can you still do it? Well, I'm sorry to tell you, the numbers don't look very good. Well, why is that? Well, the first thing is they switched from the non-linear timeline. Now you have no idea when something is going to show up in your followers' feed. I used to be able to, plan out my Instagram posts. I'm going to post at 7:45 a.m. because that's when, most of my audience is looking at Instagram, and I want to catch them before they go to work. And, then they'll engage them then, and then I'm going to engage them on their way home from work. Well, now, it doesn't matter when you post, it's that they've, created this weird algorithm monster. So people will be seeing your photo a week from when you post it instead of, immediately after you post it. So that has brought down engagement and people really increasing the presence of your photos and how people react to your photos. Because even if you have, I had, around 900 or so followers on my photography Instagram, when all of this, when the nonlinear timeline was changed, and it went down from about 30% engagement of my following, get quite a few people from my following commenting, liking photos. It wasn't uncommon for me to get 50, 60, 70 likes on a picture down to, maybe 20. And now that they've changed the algorithm, it's 5 to 10. So that's a significant decrease in the people who are already following me, even liking or commenting on photos. The other thing that's really hurt organic growth is follow-unfollow culture. And I've talked about this before on the podcast. It's the people who just will follow you, hoping that you'll follow them back, and then they unfollow you immediately. Now, if everybody's doing that, that means nobody's gaining new followers. If you're trying to game the system to try to increase your following by doing this, then, everybody's learned this trick now, and, nobody's numbers are really going up. At least not much. It goes up marginally, especially down at the lower end. And this is what we're talking about. People who are really trying to, get from the smaller numbers to something bigger, more substantial. And, this plateau that Instagram has reached is also due to another very important factor. And it's always great when you're trying to record your podcast and your dog decides that they want to eat. So if you hear some clanging and banging behind me, that's because my dog is complaining that her bowl is empty. But another real issue with Instagram is oversaturation. So many images. According to a recent study, 100 million images are uploaded to Instagram every day. 100 million. So many pictures and videos. And out of those, only less than 1%, less than 1 million of those get any interaction at all. So if your photos are getting 1 or 2 likes, you're already in the less than 1% of all the images that day that are getting any sort of interactions, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. But it's the fact that people are bombarded visually with video from social media, video and images. There's just so much going on that unless something really sticks out, like we've had to raise the bar of interest, what grabs people's interest and really captures their imagination and their desire to interact with your photo has to be multiplied so much so that they will actually comment or like your image on Instagram. People are just tired. They're worn out and they don't want to take the time to research who they should follow as well. It's like that's why you're not getting people just like increasing your following naturally over time. People can now follow a hashtag. So if say you're getting married and you want to research wedding photographers in New Jersey or New York, wherever I am, they can choose to follow a hashtag New Jersey wedding photographers or hashtag New York City wedding photographers, so that they can, they're going to see those things and then they go, oh, I'm going to, contact that person, as opposed to following a bunch of, photographers in that area. And also the deck is sort of stacked against you by social media platforms. When these platforms start out and people just start using them and you gain a bunch of followers, if you've got, you're asking everybody to follow you on this new platform, whatever, and you can kind of pick up some momentum that way. And then it sort of dies off. There's just naturally in every social media lifespan, there's sort of a peak at the beginning and then it sort of plateaus and people stop really following a whole bunch of people. Until you get new people who've joined the platform and maybe they follow you, maybe they don't. But the features that really allow you to gain more followers, they set the sort of gate. There's a gateway, the minimum number of followers that you have to have those features that will actually help you really grow your following. In Instagram, it's 10,000 people. You got to have 10,000 followers to unlock, the swipe up feature, so that people can go to a link. And she really wants her food, and so you have to have 10,000 to be able to send people to a link on your website or to give them a direct access to information that you're trying to convey other than just a picture, which is, as a photographer, you're trying to get hired, you probably want to do pretty often. And, that's a pretty high bar to get 10,000 followers. This is why they had a problem with people buying followers just to get to 10,000 so they could become an influencer or have enough of a following to be able to get those features unlocked. If you look at other platforms, YouTube makes it really difficult. You have to have 1,000 subscribers plus, I can't remember how many hours, 100 hours, I can't remember, maybe more than that, of watch time, per quarter. That's a lot. I mean, unless you've got a significant following, you have to really work to build that following to gain the ability to, have a lot of these features. Now they've, having subscribe credits at the end. Everybody, I think, once you get over 100 subscribers, has access to that. But that used to be, there's a gateway on that as well early on. But I digress. Let's get back to Instagram. So if organic growth is dead, what do you do? Do you even bother with Instagram anymore? The answer is yes, because people are still on Instagram. Your potential clients are still there, and you want them to hire you. So that means being smarter about how you're approaching your work on Instagram. You're going to have to use hashtags that they might be following, and hashtags that are sort of overused and really populated. And when you type in a hashtag on Instagram, you can see how many posts there are to it. The top ones might not be the ones that you want to use. You might want to use ones that are a little less popular, because that means the people who are following those or who are searching those are going to be more engaged. So if you see wedding photographers might have 45 million posts, but if you go down to the very region specific, the city that you're in might have 15, 25,000 posts. So using hashtags like that are going to help you narrow the field that you're trying to reach. And those people who are searching that are also going to be more inclined to find your work. Like, for example, my Instagram following has gone up goes up by like 5, 10, 15, and goes back down by a few. It's the following and unfollowing or whatever. People are no longer interested in following wedding photos because they're already married or whatever the reason is. It just sort of fluctuates up and down and pretty much stays in the same range right now. But I've booked 3 wedding gigs off of Instagram in the last couple of months because people are just searching for the hashtags that I'm using, and they're finding my work, and they contact me, and they hire me. So putting in the effort on Instagram is still going to get you work if you do it properly. Also, you're probably going to have to pay for ads eventually. Be very smart about your advertising on Instagram. Be sure that you market to create a segment of people that you're trying to market to. Don't just throw out a huge net. You want to throw out a smaller net. If you're trying to get hired as a photographer, then you don't want your audience to be 36 million people. You want it to be, get it down to 50, 60,000 people. And that way you're really reaching the right core market for your ads, and then your money isn't wasted completely. And also, as far as what the future holds and what the next steps are, if Instagram growth is gone, a lot of people ask, well, what's the next Instagram? What's the next Facebook? What's the next thing? People are always interested in that because they want to get on the ground floor and create a new following. And, they have a lot of issues with Facebook because of political reasons or privacy reasons or whatever the reasoning may be. People are always looking for what's the next platform going to be? And I see photographers always going is it TikTok? Should I be on TikTok? Should I be on Snapchat? Most likely, no, because these are sort of, they're even more mercurial than Instagram, especially Snapchat. I mean, you can certainly be on there, but it's more about personality, video, communicating with your viewership as to who you are and what's going on, as opposed to posting static images, because people are not going to Snapchat to look at static images like a portfolio. It's much more of a video and just personality based, activity based, what people are doing in the moment. TikTok is people singing along to videos and making their own funny short videos. It's not it's not a platform for still photographers. Unless you're trying to sell your personality, which is a whole other topic, TikTok is not going to be the platform for you. But do research. There are always new platforms emerging, and when one is going to get some traction and get more people subscribing and using it, you don't want to waste a lot of time on a platform that isn't going anywhere. But certainly do research. I signed up for Vero a while ago. I thought that was going to be a great option because they didn't for photographers, because it allowed you to post links. It allowed you to post images. It was hashtag driven. You didn't have to resize photos. It was, you could have really large, really crisp photos. It's going to be great for photographers, I thought. Then it just sort of, the promise of Vero sort of died off. But there's always going to be new things popping up. Keep an eye on the news. Look for who Google is going to acquire next. I'm totally serious about that. Look for who these larger platforms are looking to procure as far as a business acquisition. Look into it and see, that will show you where things are going, because, they're spending a lot of money doing research on what companies to buy and what platforms are going to be important in the future. And also, stop asking if you should be on the TikToks. Or so you sound super, super, super uncool. If you're like, where are the youngsters these days? Find some younger people and ask them if that's really what you want to do. Like, hey, so is there any new social media platforms I should be paying attention to? Or, get on Reddit, get on anywhere, just do some research. Don't post. I saw this article on Petapixel last month, I think it was, and the writer of the article was like, what social media platform should I be on? Should I be on the TikTok? Should I be on the Snapchat? It's like you sound like you're an old person who doesn't know anything about what's going on and you're just desperately trying to find a new social media platform. Don't be that person. It makes you look desperate. Do some research. I know it's about putting more time and effort in, but if you give it a little bit of time every month to see what's going on out there in the world, you never know. You might strike gold with the next big social media platform.
And now for my favorite part of the show. What's that say? Useless information. This is always death.
This episode's useless information. The national anthem of Greece has 158 verses. That's right, 158. And you can probably only remember the one verse to the Star-Spangled Banner, of which there are 2 verses. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Nerdy Photographer Podcast. Since we're talking about Instagram, why don't you go over to Instagram and follow the Nerdy Photographer at the Nerdy Photo. That is at the Nerdy Photo on Instagram. Look forward to seeing you follow us there. All sorts of memes and fun stuff, and reviews and gear stuff, and quotes about photography. All sorts of stuff going on over there. Credits for this episode, music provided by The Hip Shakes, and Snappy, the Snappa Elf, was played by Jen Clark. Jen is a member of several improv comedy groups, including JK and Cougar Den, performing in the Ferndale, Michigan area at the OK Comedy Theater. Go and check them out. And until next time, talk nerdy to me.
Who's that coming back to town? You better start listening. Who's your heart been beating about? You better listen.